that can separate people from high level to medium level to lower level. So that's basically how I will test you guys. So don't worry too much, but you must learn well with clear concept. So if I test you something like the vacancy complexes or something like that, you need to know that you just divide the coordinate number by 2, right? The simple idea is you have 2 together. Of course, your total combination will be less. But how can we think about it? How can we think about it? The idea is really simple. So basically, the first time I look at it, I have no idea what I am looking at. Why is z divided by 2? The small z divided by 2. I have no idea. So just patiently draw the crystal structure. I'm so sorry to be whiteboard 2. Why for vacancy complexes? Why is z divided by 2? And basically, let's rely on the NN side of your defect to be occupied by 2 vacancy. So that basically decrease your combination of these 2 vacancy pair. And then that's the new coordinate number beside your atom. So when I first look at the FTC crystal, I have no idea what I am looking at, but I do know crystal look like this. So you look at the cross part, and you know that's the center atom to have 12 coordinate, right? For FCC. If I choose FCC, you look at it, the center atom. The NN side is the atom right beside your tracer atom. So if we separate this complicated form by looking at one corner only, I'm teaching you how to think, and I don't teach you how to memorize, because while I look at it, I have no idea. I think and figure it out. So let's look at it. I just look at the particular corner. Because they are symmetry, you don't need to think about such a complicated thing directly. But if you directly look at this complicated thing, you know this atom, tracer atom, has 12 coordinates. And you divide it by 2. And your new coordinate is like 6. And how I figured it out look like this. I just look at the corner to simplify the problem I am looking at. And I know the coordinate must be the face center for the NN side, because that's the shortest distance. That's the NN side I have for this particular corner, right? Every 4 corners look the same like this. So I look at it and I ask myself, be careful to myself. I ask myself, what's the vacancy pair, i.e. the vacancy complexes I can have? So my answer is, okay, I just pick up 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 probable number. But actually that's in number 6. Okay. For this kind of thinking, the solution 1 directly calculated by this complicated picture. But 2, I look at the corner only, and then I know that's 6. 6. However, do I have other thinking? Yes. If I combine these 2, I say I am not confident by thinking one corner only. I would like to think about the whole unit cell. Okay, fine. You are good. You are careful. Let's combine these two together. For the four corners like this, each atom side has been counted twice, right? Because this atom will be shared by the other corner neighborly, right? So let's have the third solution by combining these two. Solution 2. Solution 3 by combining that two. I have total 6 choices, and then I count all of them. I must share with the neighbor because I counted twice. Then, how many corners I have? I have 4 corners. Then I also counted the face twice, right? So actually, I have 3 multiplied by 2 equal to 6. Okay? So numbers are all the same. 6, 6, 6. Doesn't matter what model you would like to use. The most important thing is you think about it by yourself and then you reach the answer like my writing on the slices. Okay? It's not only one way for your thinking. It's not only you memorize what I am saying. It depends on how you attack the problem. You can have multiple solutions. And that's the thinking I talk about. Right? So that's what training you guys should think about for yourself. I cannot train you. I cannot force you to think, but I can show you how to think. Okay, so let's move on. All right, this page I have learned it. We have learned it. It's the effect assisted interaction. Okay, so we have learned on the page 14. So I will skip it. Okay, let's look at the calculation part. How we think about interstitial diffusion. And then we will learn self-interstitial diffusion. Right, they are all different. So let's look at it. And on this page, I will write the process. The process I look at the problem, and I have the answer have written on the slices. You guys just follow my writing and then compare that to the slices. You will be fine. So let's look at the whiteboard. Let's look at the BCC interstitial. And be careful. Interstitial, self-interstitial are all different. Okay? And you guys must learn this different. Because it could be salute, it could be self-interstitial, it could be interstitial assisted self-diffusion. They are all different targets. Okay? Be careful for the target you are analyzing. So you should not just memorize without thinking. On this page, I say interstitial diffusion. So that's open, like carbon or hydrogen. Then it must occupy nominal interstitial side, like the bottom right corner. So let's think about it. And this is page 42. Okay. So for interstitial diffusion, BCC, and always follow the most fundamental equation. You won't feel lost. By what? Jump frequency, a total jump frequency, because right now we are considering crystal structure. For defect, it doesn't matter for now. Right now, we just write the general equation. You know it's mu, atomic switching frequency, migration probability, coordinate number, and your interstitial formation, the X interstitial for the interstitial one. Okay, because it's NN side, so I just write. It's always NN side, so I just write I for this one. Okay, let's put the number in one by one. Then you will feel safe without confusing yourself. Okay, mu is mu and never change. And then for the migration, the general form for this one is exponential for the energy of migration barrier, right? But what's this energy? The general form of this is it's a Gibbs free energy. Or you can say that's chemical potential, or you can say partial molar Gibbs free energy equal to your partial molar enthalpy. Okay, that's the form, the general energy for that. And you may say, why I involve entropy now? I didn't introduce this before. I'm teaching you a general form because you are involving defect, right? Because defect introduces extra entropy in. But generally speaking, you should think about this. Even though for most of the time, I will tell you, you can ignore that. All right, I will write that in the problem set of midterm. You can ignore or you cannot ignore. So I will write that. So read the problem set and think what I am asking. So this is what we are looking at. Typically, people use delta. Okay, I will just write delta. And this is the general form of the migration energy. So let's look at it. We put this in. And then we have this one. Right? So we finish with this part and we put this in. So the V, I don't know what that is. And maybe I use small v. And this V look like capital V. Okay, I use small v. Okay, small v multiplied by, be careful for this one. And you may feel weird. Why I say no energy penalty, right? Because the defect side, the interstitial side, for small atom has existing in crystal. You don't need to create it. The site has been there. For small atom, okay, be careful for that. Interstitial site has existed in the crystal. You don't need energy to create it. All right, they have been there. But that's particular for solute, for interstitial. Okay. Let's finish it. B mu potential is delta Sm K minus delta Hm Kp. Okay, that's the form. And let's ask the first. This is only total jump frequency, right? And what's the diffusivity? Because I will test you diffusivity. So the diffusivity will be 2D total jump frequency R squared. Should we involve F inside? And remember, those small atoms are defect. So basically, I am asking you defect diffusion. Defect diffusion. So this one is equal to 1. All right? No matter what cases, just write the most fundamental equation one by one without ignoring anything. And ask yourself what cases you have. Then you determine what number you should put in. Never memorizing. Then, besides, you can put it in. Then you figure out the result you want. So the number will be is 1/6, right? So I put this in. It's gamma, the total jump frequency. So now will be V R squared. And F equal to 1. I don't need to be bothered by that. Mu potential delta Sn. Okay. And minus delta Hn. Kt. So I rearrange it, and this will be the D0. It's potential minus delta Hn divided by Kt. And this one is the temperature independent. So that's this one. Just E naught equal to this one. Then you may ask what's the R for BCC. So I will tell you in the exam. So don't worry. Just put it in one by one. You will be fine. Then for this case, we approximately, not approximately, for BCC. And this is the loop. The loop. Is equal to latest constant divided by 2. And for Z, DCC, the loop, small z equal to 4. And then you may feel wonder, how could this be? Why everything look different? Yeah, because you are using different defect size. So let's look at the crystal structure. Yeah, look at it. The left one. Whatever artificial site you occupy, for example, like the center one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 coordinate for hopping. Some people may argue that why not using this direction, the diagonal direction? Because it's not the shortest distance. So for BCC, your shortest distance is like half A here. It's shorter than this one, right? This is A divided by square root 2. It's larger than half A. So of course you choose the shortest one, this one. A divided by 2. Okay, that's the interstitial diffusion. Okay, that's the shortest distance for the random walk between interstitial site. And you may argue again, why you don't choose a tetrahedral? Very good question. I will teach you next week. And simply speaking, these 4 tetrahedral sites are easy to switch. So since they are easy to switch, they just switch quickly with themselves without any contribution for the hopping, i.e. the diffusion. So simply speaking, the effective length is 0 because they move nowhere. That's why for interstitial in BCC, they choose artificial site. Okay? Because small atoms are small, no matter what they occupy artificial and tetrahedral. But the one that really contribute to diffusion is artificial because they indeed move somewhere. Right? Here or up and down, left and right. But for the tetrahedral, they just switching with themselves because they are easily moving there. So no contribution for the movement. And that's why I put it on the bottom. Look at it, effective path. Because you see the artificial side actually is more tight. Atoms don't want to be there. But we are analyzing the effective diffusion. Something that can really move. So for tetrahedral, they move nowhere. They just keep circling here without moving. And you may argue that, yeah, they can hop to the diagonal direction. Yeah, but it's another shortest distance that really do that. Okay. So in the end, for BCC, use artificial sign. All right. So your Z is like 1, 2, 3, 4. For every point, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Never change. Okay. So let's come back.
经典暖天的耳朵。哎呀，这个小狗狗起来动都不动。
Okay, so you know for interstitial, the random word distance have a, the coordinate is 4. Just put it in. Then you have the answer on the bottom corner, on the bottom. Just do it by yourself. All right, so you have to learn interstitial of BCC. Then, by the way, I tell you guys, you can ignore this page. Some people just randomly pick up any number, randomly writing in the answer. Of course, wrong. I put this here because some of you need to consider complicated case, and that's the complicated case in the paper most likely. You don't need this page, let me be clear. But I put it in for your thinking. For some of you, you need to think about more fundamental picture of genetic barrier. So you need this page. But for most of the people, you don't need it. Okay, you can skip it. I don't want anyone randomly writing this page into your answer sheet. That's nonsense. And people last year did that. Okay, then this is BCC. I don't like that. Let me teach you BCC self-interstitial for comparison. Because I would like you guys to compare one by one. Because I found I didn't put it in the slices. I feel a bit uncomfortable because I write it in my notes. Okay, the same for BCC. Let's change it. Self-interstitial. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, safely write it one by one. Don't skip, then you won't feel confused. Self-interstitial, and that you must know that's a dumbbell, right? So by compare top and down, you know this is different. This is different. Okay? So be careful of that. Always write down the most fundamental equation and put the number in one by one based on different cases. Then let's put it in. What's the value for Z? And what's the value for your X and N side? I have told you in the last class, for this Z, let me write it down one by one. Okay. Mu never change. And this is a general form. All right. It's a general equation, so you don't need to change it. Even though you know they are different, but it's okay. Because different number will be reflected here. This one doesn't change. How about this two? Clearly, this Z is different, right? This Z now is different because now it's dumbbell. For BCC, it looks the same, but be careful for FCC. FCC has a different number. Because right now, I am talking about this dumbbell. Right? So you have 4. Z is equal to 4, the dumbbell. Clearly different compared to this one. Even though number is the same, but the meaning is totally different. So be careful for this kind of thing. And how about the formation? Formation probability. And it must be different right now. So So we still use the general term like that. This is the migration, right? Now we need to make it like formation. So this is delta S formation divided by K, and the exponential minus delta H formation divided by KT. Okay, so that's different thing. I will write it down here. G4 equal to delta H formation subtracted by T delta S formation. For general term, okay? General term, I put it in. Then the diffusivity will change. So diffusivity equal to the same equation, 2T divided 1 gamma R squared F. I put it in. It's now 1 right now. Okay. So it becomes 1 divided by 6 and put this gamma in. So that will be mu E delta Sm plus delta Si delta Sf formation for that divided by K. Then the Z is 4. And the distance for the atom, let me see what that is. Change. So be careful. The R squared right now is different. R squared approximately is like this. The R squared change. R, B, C, C. Sales interstitial approximately is divided by square root 2. So square. And let me see how we missed. R squared and F. F is like coordinate like 4, right? It's a self interstitial. So I mean interstitial will help atom to diffuse. So you must consider Z subtracted by 1. Z plus 1 for the F number. Okay? Because now it's interstitial help atom diffuse. So it's effect assisted diffusion. You must involve F on non-random work. Because you need this defect to design your atom, the right one. All right? So the F must be less than 1, larger than 0. Then you have, that's done. Diffusivity. Right? So this is your migration enthalpy and the formation enthalpy divided by KT, and don't forget the minus sign. And your diffusivity look like this. All right, that's why I told you you must be careful, put number in one by one. You should not just randomly pick out any random equation and think, maybe for this thing you will be correct. No, never. Choose the right number, put it in the same equation. That's why I teach you a most fundamental one. You just pick out the right condition, put the number in one by one. Then you will be fine. Okay. Let's go on to FCC. Sure. Okay, for FCC, now you still start from the most fundamental equation. Then the Z change again, right? I have told you the FCC condition is like the self interstitial is like 8, right? Look at the page center pictures. The two combination for direction 1, 0, 0 and 0, 0, 1. So you have a combination for your 100 defect. So the self-interstitial of dumbbell in the FCC is like 8. Coordinate number is like 8. So I mark it right in the slices. Now you find the number change again, right? So you cannot just memorize it randomly and pick up equation randomly. You must choose the right equation to solve the problem I will give you in the midterm. So the exam rely on your understanding of this fundamental equation. Fundamental equation determine is defect diffusion or defect assisted diffusion, and what defect, vacancy or interstitial. Okay, on this page, it's interstitial in BCC. So remember to put different coordination number and a different correlation factor S. Then you will be fine. You see at least 2 cases. If that's a diffusion of self-interstitial or that's a diffusion of interstitial are all different. And then you need to check the result by the way I just told you. All right. So that's the cases you should think about. And then I believe you guys need to work it out by yourself. You should not rely on me for everything. So work it out by yourself. I have shown you how to do that for BCC. And remember, defect diffusion is different compared to defect assisted diffusion. So be careful for that. And the interstitial for FCC must use different coordinate number. And that's 8, no longer 4. So, all right. And then for self-diffusion assisted by interstitial, we call that interstitial C. That's why you see the bracket on the top. Interstitial C in the kinetic textbook means interstitial assisted diffusion. So that's atom diffusion. So you must include correlation factor not equal to 1. I say it slowly because it's very important difference, right? And I have an answer there. Inside, work it out by yourself. Play with it. Answer is 100% correct. Work it out by yourself. You need practice. All right, you need practice. You cannot just rely on memorizing my answer. That won't help you. I am not joking. Okay, this is the reason why FCC dumbbell has an A coordinate. Look at it, the red one has an A possibility to hop, right? Those interstitial, the black one, can squeeze the crystal and then move to the gray side. So the coordinate is 8. When you move to that new side, you still have 8 coordinate. So for the interstitial, self-interstitial dumbbell, FCC, like nickel, copper, aluminum, and then you use 8 for dumbbell for self-interstitial. Okay? So, and now it's important one, so I will write it again. It's vacancy. So let's look at it. Vacancy means missed atom, right? So for these cases, how many choices we can miss the atom, right? Simply ask yourself this question. And that's a very simple coordinate number for the crystal. I.e., how many atoms beside your particular atom? It must be the same. For BCC, that's 8, right? For FCC, we all know that's 12. So for vacancy, and this example is FCC. So vacancy in FCC has a coordinate number 12 because that's the number beside particular number. Particular atom, sorry, beside particular atom that want to have. So for this case, and that's 12 for BCC crystal. And then we just work it out again on the whiteboard. It's the same thing. Okay, let's count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Where is the 12? I missed. Let me see. This one, 12. Okay, so 12 number. So for FCC, the coordinate number for vacancy in FCC is 12, right? Because you have 12 choices to what? To miss the atom beside any atom, any one atom inside the unit cell. So 12 choices, and that's a crystal structure we are familiar with. That's why for vacancy, it's simpler. You just use the coordinate number. That's the coordinate number for vacancy too. And again, we always start from somewhere simple. Jump frequency, total jump frequency. Formation, it is formation for vacancy. Okay, so vacancy formation. So this one will be the equilibrium. So the equilibrium probability to form vacancy on the NN side of your atom in the equilibrium state. So basically it's the same thing. We just repeat it, and then the divisibility will be 2p. Again, write it down one by one. You won't feel lost. Careful for the crystal structure. So I will suggest you to write it carefully to remind yourself they are different. Right. Then F to be random interstitial diffusion or non-random interstitial, vacancy assisted or vacancy is defect, right? Vacancy is defect. So if that's a vacancy diffusion, your F is equal to 1. And if it's vacancy assisted diffusion, it's not 1. So I will write the thinking logic like the most important 3 things. If that's vacancy diffusion, F equal to 1. If that's vacancy assisted diffusion, F must smaller than 1, larger than 0. You cannot use 1 anymore. So be careful for the difference. And I guarantee you, I 100% will test this concept because that's the most important thing for the kinetic picture of diffusion. If defect try to diffuse, they can move anywhere, so they are random. Okay? If that's a defect assisted atomic diffusion, it's a different thing. It's not free because your correlation factor F is not random. You need your defect to reach the NN side beside your tracer atom. You know that F equal to Z minus 1 divided by Z plus 1. So different cases. So you must know this difference. Then you can figure out the problem by inserting the correct distance for the random walk. Inserting F equal to 1 or F equal to less than 1. Then, and also migration barrier. and you put it in one by one, then you will be 100% correct. I am not joking. So choose the right defect smartly. Okay, you cannot just randomly pick a defect or pick a atom without thinking those things. Distance, correlation, and the energy. I will give you everything, but you must choose the right equation and then put it in your answer sheet in a neat way, in a logical way. You are fine, not giving me trouble, you will have high grades. If you randomly write some wrong thing, of course you lost point. So write it in a logical way, you will be fine. All right. So the solution process and the logic are exactly the same. Just list it one by one. And let me see if I should write something. Sure. We're still writing. All right. So let's go back to the website. 7 minutes. I hope we can finish it. So right now for page 47. 47. And it's vacancy. We can still use this one. Just change the corner. Vacancy diffusion, and this is the NN for vacancy, right? So, just write formation to distinguish it from the migration. Vacancy, okay? It's just for notation, okay? I may use different notation on the slide, but you just know the meaning of that, that's it. It's meaning never change. Just to let you compare them, the different part one by one. Then use the equation, total jump frequency. Then you know the equation should be like mu never change. And your migration barrier is always like this. And now you know the V is like 12. And the formation energy, you need to consider the energy for the vacancy formation. And of course, that's delta HFV subtracted by T delta SFV and put it in. And you know that's delta S. This is the formation. V FV divided by K. Potential minus delta H FV divided by KT. Let me switch the pronoun. But the physical meaning is always the same. Then put it in the diffusivity. B, never jump. I dislike you people jump this, like put 6. No, if I give you 2D graphene, it must be 4. So never jump. Put it 2D every time first. Then the gamma should be this one. And R F60 squared. Then Never jump. Judge your coordination number. Depend on I ask you vacancy diffusion. Or vacancy assisted diffusion. So be careful for this one. This one must be judged by either this or this. When you know for the top one, f equal to 1. For this one, f equal to 12 subtracted by 1, 12 plus 1. Right? They are different. So you cannot just simply memorize it and pick out without any reason. You must pick out the right one. Based on my question, I may ask you defect diffusion or I may ask you defect assisted diffusion. It doesn't matter that's interstitial assisted or vacancy assisted. Physical meaning always start from identical equation. What identical one? V subtracted by 1, V plus 1, or just 1. Right? For random one, the random one. Random diffusion for defect or non-random diffusion for defect assisted atom diffusion. They are not random because defect will help atom. Atom need defect to help. So the correlation factors are totally different. And the process is very simple again. You just put it in one by one. Then this RFCC square equal to A divided by square root of 2. Then you put it in. Put it in. Then you have the answer on the slices. All right? So be patient to choose the right number. And they are different. That's why you cannot just randomly pick a number. All right? Sum is 2, A divided by 2. Sum is A divided by square root 2. And if I give you diamond, it's totally different, right? So be careful for that. You should not just write down random equation on your note and print it in your midterm. And then think you will figure it out in the exam. Neighbor, you must understand it before you enter the exam. Okay? All right, the answer has been written on the slides, so I try not to repeat it. And I introduce you different cases. Oh, it's noon. Oh, all right. And I think the final result is a summary. I just put the general term on this page. And I remind you different cases. Don't skip your calculation. Just follow my lead. Put fundamental equation one by one. You won't make mistake. Okay? Judge crystal structure. Judge is defect diffusion or defect assisted diffusion. Judge the formation energy you should pick. Judge the coordinate number. Then your answer will be guaranteed correct. Never pick up your equation without reason. You will make mistake. So I think that's the summary for the structure correlated diffusivity. And I introduce you total jump frequency. Then, yeah, basically that's how you solve your midterm. Figure out the answer by following my calculation logic. And you can just compare the answer I put on the corner. You will be fine. All right? Okay, that's it. If you have a question, just ask me.
Professor, I got
Yes.
one question.
Yes, please.
So for the previous example, we take the BCC as our counting, and we use 4 as our coordination number.
Yeah, for what defect? Be careful for your question. For what defect?
For interstitial diffusion.
Yeah, So I have drawn the picture, right? Of course, that's 4. You have learned it. Then what's the question? Why is it 4?
Yeah.
I have drawn in the earlier class. Interstitial in the BCC look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you may feel confused, like what's the artificial interstitial? That is, if your interstitial is on this artificial side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still 4, but the meaning is totally different. For this one, the distance clearly is different compared to the interstitial one, right? This is interstitial diffusion for subdued small atom. This is for the interstitial of self interstitial dumbbell. So be careful for interstitial. There are 2 different interstitial types. You cannot just memorize interstitial. Oh, always 4. No, neighbor. Judge if I ask you salute or self interstitial. And then
So
you know you have a different distance of hopping.
For interstitial salutes, is it because that for the single BCC qubit, the coordination sum of 8 total number, and we divide it by 2.
Your salute coordinate is not 8. Your salute coordinate is 4.
Oh.
Yeah, don't miss out different type of defect. If you are thinking 8 coordinate, that's a vacancy most likely. Different defect has different coordinate and a distance. Be careful for that.
So how to define whether if we should divide it by 2 or not?
Divided by 2 for what?
So we've mentioned that for the little z, the coordination number, we have to divide 2.
No, be careful. That's vacancy complexes. Different cases has a different coordinate. You guys cannot just simply memorize it and then think that's the same. No, if I introduce it, most likely there are different cases. You cannot just think the formula could be universally applicable. You must judge different cases one by one to pick up the Z or capital Z one by one for different type of defect.
All right, I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Yeah, be careful for different type of defect. You cannot just memorize equation and apply it to different cases. No, you must use the fundamental equation and judge the Z or capital Z one by one.
Hey, thank you, Professor.
Are different. Even though the thinking flow is the same, you must be careful for different defect species. All right, interstitial, vacancy, self-interstitial, or vacancy complexes. Their diffusion has different correlation value compared to they assist atomic diffusion. They are all different.
Hey.
Yep.
Thank you.
Be careful for different cases. That's my suggestion. You're welcome. Other question? I'm still here drinking water. If you have a question, just say it. If no question, I will close the section for everybody.